goes something like this.
Chicken
Everything changed the moment Snow White got pulled into the spotlight. What was once a surefire Disney classic suddenly found itself at the center of heated debates, swirling rumors, and online uproar. Even more surprising, a curious new rival, Minecraft, of all things that blocky universe, became a shining symbol of easygoing family fun, while one of Disney's oldest fairy tale legacies got overshadowed by controversy. How did we reach a point where a lighthearted, pixel-inspired adventure is outshining the legendary story of a princess in peril? And what really happened between rising star Rachel Zgler and the beloved Jack Black? These questions loom large, and their answers reveal a story far bigger than a single remake.
Rachel Zgler then inexplicably continued to post herself in an empty theater for her own movie. She's literally the only person there. Meanwhile, the experience at Minecraft.
Did Disney push things too far with a heavy-handed approach? Is there real evidence that tensions boiled over behind the scenes? Or is it simply the internet stirring another pot of drama? By the end of this video, you'll see why Snow White is more than just the next live-action experiment. It might be a turning point for all of Disney's future reimaginings. But first, let's uncover the strange path that led us here, and why Minecraft is quietly stealing the show. You'd think Disney's biggest controversy would involve dragons or sorcery, but wait until you see the actual storm brewing behind these fairy tale curtains. From the moment Disney announced a live-action Snow White, audiences had the usual flurry of excitement. Most of us hoped it would echo the success of Beauty and the Beast or Aladdin. After all, Disney reimaginings often spark curiosity, but something different happened this time. Early leaks and test screenings painted a picture of a production in flux, marked by last-minute script changes and reported reshoots.
It does seem like the media have got the throw her under the bus green light though when we're posting things like this. We're slagging her off behind the scenes, we're dropping all the information, and then reminding you of, well, her attacking the majority of the population of America when she posted F the Orange Man.
Rumors slipped out that entire scenes were being re-edited right before final cuts, creating what some called a patchwork narrative. On top of that, the online community started buzzing about a possible shift away from the story's original simplicity. Fans of classic Disney generally expect a faithful retelling, with modern twists that feel organic. Instead, there were hushed warnings about an overbearing message, fueling concern that the very soul of this beloved fairy tale was drowning in heavy-handed themes. Social media magnified these whispers, with each new leaked detail sparking heated discussions on whether Disney was losing its touch. Meanwhile, the live-action Minecraft movie came out of left field with minimal hype, yet ended up packing theaters. It's silly, bright, and free of controversies, just good old-fashioned escapism. Suddenly, Snow White wasn't just up against the usual critics, it was also facing comparisons to a family-friendly competitor that knew exactly what audience it wanted to please. Tension escalated in fan communities, leading some to post an unexpected question. Are we witnessing Disney's first live-action flop that has the power to end this remake trend for good?
You ever wonder what happens when you mix hot lava and chicken?
That question might sound dramatic, but negative chatter, even from Disney loyalists, grew louder by the day, and at the heart of it all sat Rachel Zgler, the film's star, whose public statements and social media presence only fanned the flames of doubt. Yet while critics began pointing fingers at the production, eyes soon turned to a rising star whose personal journey seemed destined for Disney glory, until it all took a sharp turn. Rachel Zgler's meteoric rise appeared almost like a fairy tale in itself. After breaking out in West Side Story, she was tapped for Disney royalty, a dream gig by any standard. For a while, fans championed her as the perfect choice to bring new life to one of the most iconic princesses in animation history. With her vocal talent and youthful energy, it felt like a match made in cinematic heaven. But the honeymoon period did not last.
So did you go directly from West Side, like, did you have to audition for Snow White, or like, oh, they saw you in West Side Story, they're like, you're Snow White?
West Side Story was kind of nowhere near coming out. We were about like 6 months away from release and no footage had been seen.
Rumblings emerged that Zgler was pushing back on certain aspects of the script, wanting a more modern, empowered spin on Snow White's character. Initially, this was seen as a promising update. Snow White, after all, was created in a very different era, yet the tone of Zgler's public remarks soon clashed with fan expectations. Some found her interviews dismissive of people concerned about big changes to the core story. As these concerns grew louder, Zgler seemed in certain social media posts to brush aside the skepticism with an air of confidence that many interpreted as arrogance. Suddenly, a once celebrated newcomer faced a growing wave of online resentment. Critics harped on her quotes, dissecting each word to see if she was calling all dissenters trolls or if she genuinely wanted to bridge the gap between classic and contemporary. The rift widened and fans began to wonder, is the real meltdown happening in front of us well before the movie even hits theaters? But Zegler's social media friction was only the beginning, because looming in the background was a creative overhaul that would spark even bigger questions about Disney's entire approach.
Just last week, the media and the shill influencers were trying to do everything they could to save Snow White from being a complete and total flop in the box office, and they failed miserably. This movie is already a complete and total disaster, and it is so bad that now even the media has to admit.
As the days inched closer to Snow White's release, talk of reshoots and rewrites spread like wildfire. Supposedly, early test screenings yielded lukewarm responses. Participants mentioned scenes that felt forced, pacing that lurched awkwardly between comedic bits and grand moral statements, and a narrative that didn't quite know whether it wanted to be edgy or nostalgic. At first, some observers dismissed these rumors as standard Hollywood fare. Most big-budget movies go through multiple revisions, but insider leaks hinted at deeper issues. A frantic production schedule allegedly forced entire characters and subplots to be rearranged. The film's message, originally meant to modernize and enrich the story, risked overshadowing the simplicity of the fairy tale magic Disney built its empire on. Naturally, the internet grabbed hold of these whispers, speculating that Disney was bowing to trends or pushing an agenda.
Snow White reviews are in. Snow White, how should we say? Data points are in, because we now know that it was a flop.
Audiences who had grown up adoring the original Snow White worried their cherished memories were being warped into something unrecognizable. Even those open to change felt the shift might be too drastic. A growing sentiment formed around the idea that Disney was no longer respecting its own heritage, but rather using it as a platform to lecture or moralize. Still, behind all the noise, a singular name began cropping up in hushed rumors: Jack Black. The comedic actor, known for bridging serious and silly in his roles, was rumored to have stepped in at a tense moment, leading to an encounter that put Rachel Zgler at the center of a behind-the-scenes showdown. And just when the production battles couldn't get more dramatic, a single confrontation sent ripples through Hollywood chatter. Did Jack Black really challenge Rachel Zgler in a behind-the-scenes standoff? When the rumor first surfaced that Jack Black confronted Rachel Zgler, fans weren't sure what to think. Black's comedic charisma has made him a beloved figure across generations, and his presence in any project usually signals pure fun. So how did he end up in the midst of a controversy swirling around a Disney princess remake? Reports claimed that while visiting the Snow White set, or possibly during a private industry gathering, Jack Black openly questioned Zgler's approach to handling fan backlash. In the alleged version, he criticized her for brushing off or belittling concerns, suggesting she addressed the feedback more constructively.
You know, the original cartoon came out in 1937, and very evidently so. There's a big focus on her love story. With a guy who literally stalks her. Yeah. Weird.
This direct challenge, as rumors go, took Zgler off guard, culminating in what onlookers described as a meltdown. Another version of the story framed the confrontation as even more heated, with tensions over creative direction and public messaging snapping into a personal spat. Those who supported Zgler insisted she'd been under immense pressure for months, balancing a massive Disney production, social media storms, and constant scrutiny. If she had a breakdown, they argued, it was a completely normal human reaction to extreme stress, but critics jumped on this rumor, seeing it as evidence of deeper issues. If Jack Black, often the calm presence in chaotic productions, felt compelled to speak up, perhaps something was seriously amiss. Neither Disney nor Zegler publicly confirmed these stories. Black kept his silence too, and that silence fed the rumor mill, prompting fans to label the so-called meltdown as emblematic of Snow White's bigger crisis. What if the star of the show no longer had confidence in the direction of her own movie? Was this a symptom of a production that had lost its way? Meanwhile, a completely different film quietly found massive success, proving that sometimes the simplest approach can sweep the box office and leave high-profile contenders in the dust.
Snow White, the toe-curlingly terrible live-action remake, has bombed so hard at the box office that even Paul Tassi had to admit it. It got $43 million, and there are very few ways to spin that.
Who would have guessed that a film inspired by building blocks and pixelated adventures could threaten to overshadow a Disney titan? The Minecraft movie slipped into theaters with modest fanfare but enjoyed a surprisingly robust box office. Families flocked to watch iconic characters and blocky landscapes come to life. Unlike Snow White, the Minecraft adaptation wore its heart on its sleeve. No pretense of world-changing themes, no attempts to reinterpret a story older than time. It was purely about entertaining kids and letting longtime players revel in nostalgia. Critics who saw it early praised its straightforward fun. Parents reported jam-packed auditoriums with enthusiastic viewers, many of them children thrilled to see their favorite game on the big screen. Side by side with Snow White, it was a complete contrast. Where Disney's film was buried under debates about rewriting a classic, Minecraft simply gave audiences what they expected: zany, comedic moments and larger-than-life gaming thrills. Soon, the media picked up on this storyline. Headlines like Minecraft outselling Snow White's pre-sales or the blocky world building a bigger audience than the classic princess circulated. It turned into a symbol of how quickly the pop culture landscape can shift. Could it be that viewers just wanted an escape rather than a lecture? In the court of public opinion, the Minecraft success hinted that maybe Disney had overlooked how important pure entertainment can be. And while the box office told one story, fans also wondered if the entire Snow White meltdown, both literal and figurative, was pushing moviegoers toward a simpler, controversy-free night out.
Like, it was a really, really, really bad flop. Now, things I do for you guys. I went to Snow White over the weekend. I took my kids. I'll tell you, I'm not sure who was more bored.
But beneath every fleeting trend lies a bigger question. Is Disney's beloved fairy tale formula cracking at its core, and will Snow White be the wake-up call that forces a change? There was a time, not too long ago, when Disney's live-action remakes felt unstoppable. Audiences relished seeing childhood favorites re-envisioned with cutting-edge effects and top-tier casts. The Jungle Book, Cinderella, Beauty and the Beast, and Aladdin raked in staggering numbers worldwide. It became almost a formula. Announce a classic remake, spark some nostalgic interest, cast big names or rising talents, and wait for the box office gold. Yet after several releases, signs of fatigue surfaced. Critics argued the remakes were becoming too formulaic themselves. Same story, minor tweaks, eye-popping visuals, repeat. Others felt the updates often missed the magic that made the originals timeless. That murmur of discontent grew louder when Mulan took significant liberties with its source material, stirring debate over authenticity and cultural portrayal. By the time Snow White entered the scene, a subset of Disney fans started dreading each new adaptation instead of celebrating it.
I love what you said about wanting to entertain audiences, critics saying Disney's too woke, but you're just putting out storytelling.
We are. Look, I don't really like the term woke because I think it's an umbrella term that I'm not 100% sure I even know what it means.
Many asked, why keep remaking stories that were already done to near perfection in animated form? Disney responded that each generation deserves its own version, but if the new generation's version alienates lifelong fans, does it truly honor the spirit of the original? Meanwhile, Bob Iger, Disney's CEO, stepped forward to reassure fans. He emphasized the studio's intent to remain faithful to each story's heart, but that promise rang hollow for those who felt Snow White was morphing into something unrecognizable. It didn't help that Zegler's online presence, sometimes fiery, sometimes dismissive, reinforced the idea that the production wasn't overly concerned with fan feedback, yet nothing prepared Disney for what happened next. A flood of fan reactions so intense, it sparked fresh rumors and fueled the very narrative they'd tried so hard to control. As the debate roiled, social media erupted with theories, insider leaks, and countless discussions dissecting every angle. On YouTube, movie reviewers posted hour-long exposés about how Snow White might mark the end of Disney's golden era of remakes.
This thing was a disaster. It only made $43 million at the box office, which is really bad for a movie like this. I don't have the numbers at the top of my head, but I want to tell you, Cinderella, which was a number of years ago, don't forget how much inflation has happened.
Reddit threads flourished with anonymous claims that confirmed or refuted the rumored meltdown between Rachel Zgler and Jack Black. Twitter hashtags popped up weekly, calling for boycotts or, alternatively, for audiences to ignore the noise and judge the film on its own merits. In this frenzy of opinions, a pattern emerged. Whenever cast or crew members made public statements defending Snow White, corners of the internet bristled. Some fans felt like they were being labeled as ignorant trolls simply for preferring a traditional approach to the story. Others thought the controversy was overblown, believing it was fueled by a few overly vocal critics looking to stir drama for clicks. Yet the meltdown story stood out. The idea that a comedy icon like Jack Black would have no tolerance for dismissing fans gave the rumor an extra punch. It symbolized a broader tension. Can a studio properly reinvent a classic if its own team is divided on how to handle its legacy and its critics? The meltdown rumor, whether fully true or partly fabrication, captured the public imagination. It became a perfect snapshot of a production straddling the line between creative ambition and disrespect for its core audience. For some, this controversy was the final straw.
Crying on that stage.
When am I not crying in public? It's so upsetting.
Why were you crying?
Oh my gosh, I saw the well, we didn't even see, but I saw the logo and I went, that's my name, Snow White's up there.
They vowed to skip the movie altogether, labeling it a lost cause. Others argued that only by seeing the final film for themselves could they judge whether the meltdown rumor and production chaos overshadowed what might still be a decent retelling. In the end, it became clear that Snow White was carrying more weight than any children's story ever should. It wasn't just a movie anymore, it was a battleground for fans, critics, and creators, each with their own vision of what Disney should be. As tempers flare and rumors swirl, one pressing question remains. Is there any path to redemption for Snow White, or has this once iconic princess stumbled beyond the point of no return? The story of Snow White, the film that once seemed destined for Disney's next billion-dollar run, has turned into a saga about the unpredictability of audience tastes and the risks of reimagining a beloved classic. Rachel Zgler's journey from rising star to embattled lead, the swirl of rumors about a Jack Black confrontation, and the surprising Minecraft success all reveal a deeper shift in the entertainment world. Viewers no longer fall in line for every big-name production. People crave authenticity, and if they sense a movie is lecturing or dismissing them, they move on, even to a blocky game adaptation, if that's where the fun is. Could Snow White still bounce back with a triumphant box office run? Possibly. Sometimes controversies stoke curiosity, drawing crowds just to see what all the fuss is about. But if the foundational story lacks the genuine spark that made Disney's classics shine, audiences won't hesitate to voice their disappointment.
Oh my god, well, when you get to wear Sandy Powell, first of all, insane, and then you get to be lit by Mandy Walker, and Nadia Stacey designed your hair and makeup, it's like the most incredible thing in the world. And then all of a sudden you open your eyes and you watch the playback, which I never do.
And in today's hyper-connected world, those voices carry weight. Ultimately, Snow White may serve as a turning point for Disney. It could prompt the studio to reflect on whether these rapid-fire live-action reboots truly honor the essence of what made these tales endure across generations. If it does underperform, expect a pause, or at least a pivot in Disney's remake strategy. On the other hand, if it manages to enthrall viewers, the meltdown rumors might fade into Hollywood lore, just another footnote in a saga that ended happily after all. So the question lingers, is this the beginning of a new era where Disney reevaluates how it rewrites treasured stories, or will they double down, believing the outcry is just internet noise that'll vanish with time? Whatever the outcome, one lesson stands out. Even the most iconic princess can find herself walking on thin ice if the balance between innovation and tradition tips too far. And in that tension lies the fate not only of Snow White, but perhaps of every classic Disney might hope to reinvent next.